Look, if you're not sending emails, your list is probably dying. So here are 5 dynamic newsletter formulas you can use to captivate your audience, keep those open rates elevated, and of course, keep engagement going. Hey, I'm Jason, faith-based entrepreneur and marketing geek. Timestamps below, along with some other helpful links and resources, including a link to our funnel template pack that has our top converting funnel pages, email campaign, and course framework to help you go from idea to sales in just a few days. Now, whatever products or services you sell or sales funnel strategy that you're using, all roads lead to this, your broadcast sequence, your weekly or daily newsletter, right? So this is going to be a couple emails per week. It could be 2, 4, up to 5. Some people do 7, which is pretty crazy. But essentially, whether someone has purchased a product or service from us or they've gone through a sales sequence, all roads lead here. Eventually, everyone drops into our general broadcast list. They aren't going through any sort of sales sequence. We don't have any sort of active promotions. We just have a bunch of emails that we've collected that we need to stay top of mind with, right? So this is where we are continually building goodwill and building a relationship with people who've joined our email list, irrespective of what they purchased in the past and irrespective of how they've actually joined our list. So we are going to continue to empathize with whatever their experiences are through stories of sharing our struggles and our triumphs. We are, of course, going to educate them on what they need to do to be successful. That's a huge part of the broadcast sequence. And of course, just make sure that we are that encouraging voice. So when it comes to what on earth do we write in these emails, this is probably going to be the most unstructured part of your entire sales process, if not your marketing, right? Because when it comes to like, what should our emails be about? The question is, well, what do you want it to be about, right? Because there's really, literally, unless you have a specific offer that you want to promote this week, there's no rules to what to actually talk about. Because the key to a great broadcast or newsletter is honesty. Now, before you roll your eyes and go, oh, of course it's honesty. Why would I make stuff up? Just bear with me for a moment. We all see those social posts where everything's rose-colored glasses, right? Like nobody does a social post talking about all of the struggles they're dealing with. But when it comes to email, that's one of the few marketing mediums that we have where we can actually be straight up and talk about things that are really hard in whatever our journey looks like. And it allows us to take an advisor or kind of coaching role where we are sharing from our own experiences or we're sharing from our clients' and students' experiences. And honestly, the emails that I've personally written that were based upon mistakes I've made in my agency, going from 6 figures to negative for quite a while, those types of stories really do resonate with people because let's face it, nobody else wants to admit that they went from 6 to negative, right? But when you're real in your emails and you say, hey, I made this mistake, or hey, this didn't work. Of course, share your wins as well. Definitely be like, hey, this campaign's crushing it. You should definitely try this for your own business, right? We are just sharing insights from our own journey and of course, sharing things from the content that we're making as well, or commentary on current news. Now, I realize as an overview of what we can do with this sequence, that's pretty nebulous, but really the sky is the limit with the newsletter. And that's part of what makes it so hard is because it really is just supposed to be like a page out of your journal. You just kind of sharing what's on your mind to help your ideal customers and help your email list as they journey down their own path to the results that they desire. Now, I realize that's pretty nebulous, and me just saying, talk about whatever you want probably doesn't really help you come up with some newsletter and broadcast sequence ideas. So let's go through 5 different types, and we'll have like 3 subtypes for each one of them. So maybe 15. All right, let's go ahead, jump in here. So the first one is the content cornerstone. And this is where you are sharing a valuable piece of content you've actually made. And the key with sharing your content is this doesn't necessarily have to be something that you just posted this week. Sometimes I'll, in our newsletter, do a callback to a video that I did like 2 or 3 years ago, as long as it's still relevant, right? And so you just add kind of an anecdote of, hey, I was working on my goals this week. I was getting, really frustrated. And that reminded me of this video I did, 2 years ago. And I actually still use this process to date. So if you're still trying to figure out your goals for this quarter, check it out here, right? And that's That's pretty much it. There's the email. And if it's an old piece of content like that example, I'll head on over to, GPT or Claude or whichever AI you want to use and pull up some quick statistics that helps kind of reinforce whatever the Cornerstone content is talking about. So the next one is one of these personal ones, and that's going to be an aha moment. So here we're going to essentially create a deeper connection with people on our email list by simply sharing something that we realized. And here we really do want to be vulnerable and completely honest. And this isn't like sharing something in a YouTube video or social media post where like a ton of strangers are going to see this, right? Like depending upon your email list size, a couple thousand people, they are going to read this, right? But because of the email medium, it's a lot easier to be honest with limiting beliefs that you may be going through, any sort of current failures, or of course, sharing your successes as well. But starting off with a limiting belief or a problem or struggle that you've recently faced, and then sharing either how you've broken through it or how you're currently dealing with it, right? Because all of these emails should really be written like you're just talking to a friend, right? We're not doing like, oh, corporate speak, this month the numbers were down and here's what we're going to do, blah, 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 synergy. Like, no, nobody wants to read that, right? People want to read like, oh, our numbers are down and here's why I think my numbers are down. Maybe you're experiencing the same thing too. And you'll be shocked by how many people will reply and say, oh yeah, I noticed that too. Because our lives don't exist in a vacuum. If we're experiencing something, especially if it's an industry or trend-wide thing, if it's an industry-wide thing, or it's a trend that's, you're noticing, other people will be seeing that as well, or experiencing that as well. And if you have a lesson learned, then go ahead and share that. Sometimes I share other pieces of content from other people or sources that I found helpful. Now, the next one is, did you see this, right? So this is essentially saying, hey, I saw this news story, I saw this update, I saw this video, this post, this tweet, or whatever, and then you do a little bit of commentary on it. Obviously, make sure that it's actually related to your niche, right? Like there's certain subjects or topics that your audience probably could not care less about. Like, for example, this is not necessarily a channel about fitness, just like it's not a channel about politics. So if I went off and said, hey, did you see this video on this like new method for training? Like nobody on my list would care. A lot of people would go like, I don't care about gym stuff like you do, bro. Like, don't send that to me, right? But if I saw an update from Meta and, something with their AI or how their algorithm's changing for ads, then because I'm a marketer and that's why people subscribe to me, it would make sense to share that. And so it's making sure that it's relevant, you share your commentary, and then if you have any takeaways or anything that you're doing differently as a result of that new piece of information, that's how you kind of make it unique in your own. And so one of the things that you don't need to worry about is, oh, well, maybe they already read this, right? Or maybe they already saw that update or they already know about it. That's okay, as long as you include your commentary and the implications of how you're going to change your behavior, your business, or whatever it is that you're working on. As a result of that information, then that in itself becomes unique and a reason to share it. Now, if you have a product or service to promote, which you can do every kind of 3 to 4 emails in this sequence, then I like using the roadblock formula. Now, if this looks familiar at all, it's because I actually use this exact same formula in my welcome sequences, and I use it in my sales rapport building sequences as well. So essentially all we're doing here is we look for a roadblock or problem or struggle our ideal customers have. And then we send an email out saying, hey, do you have this problem? And then we talk about a myth or a lie or a common way of solving the problem that's actually not the best way to go about things, right? So as an example, like let's say we have a product of Google ads, right? So we could say, hey, are you tired of Google not actually telling you where your money's being spent, right? Like Google loves to not tell you how your budget's being spent. Then we could go through, here are the common ways most people try and fix it. It actually doesn't work. Here's a better way, method, strategy, technique, right? And then we actually give them something that they can use in the email. This is key. and it's just what to do. Like it could be as simple as saying, hey, maybe you should check your placements to make sure that Search Partners wasn't checked by accident, right? Something nice and small that they can easily, do in less than 10 minutes. And then we have a call to action at the end of this email to check out whatever our paid product or service is. And so this is the email that I like to use when I'm driving traffic to a paid offer. But of course, we do want to use this one sparingly, like every 3 to 4 emails, so we're not constantly pitching people. Now, this next one is the simple encouragement, right? We're essentially taking an advisory role with these different newsletters. And so we want to share encouraging stories of ourselves with breakthroughs. This is kind of like the opposite of sharing when things go wrong. You could also share client stories of success. With us, I don't necessarily always ask our clients or coaching students if I can share their story. I just change the facts enough so that no one can figure out who I'm talking about. And then, of course, you can also share stories of other people that you've read, right? Like sometimes it's nice to go back and say, hey, here's how this famous XYZ person achieved the results that they were looking for. And the key to this one, just like the kind of aha moment or sharing news, is some sort of application or something that in your behavior has changed based upon, the story that you've either the experience that you've gone through yourself, if the story is about yourself, or a key takeaway if it's a story of a coaching student, client, or even someone who's famous in your niche, like you're reading an autobiography and you say, hey, I didn't even know that JP Morgan was actually the initial person who funded Edison. And so here's my takeaway for today, or something like that. That was a silly example because I don't actually have a takeaway. That was just really a random fact. All right, moving on. But that does it for 5 different types. Hopefully it got some of those creative juices flowing. It really does take a while to get the hang of this. And speaking as someone who still feels like it's still nails on a chalkboard for me, it's probably the hardest part of my marketing. I will literally do anything and everything else in our funnels and advertising before I'll start writing broadcast emails. But these are just some of the ones that have helped me in terms of actually writing these things and staying consistent at times. Obviously, if you're on my email list, I'm not as consistent as I should be, which leads us into the automation. So for the most part, you're going to be sending these in real time. You're probably going to hopefully send these a couple times per week. What you can also do though, which is really ninja, is after you send these for like 6 or 7 months, you can go back and look at your best performing ones. You can take those and put them into a automated sequence of 3 to 6 weeks. And so what you can do is you can send these out in real time and then find your best performing ones. And you can set up an automated broadcast newsletter for the first 3 to 6 weeks someone's on your list. And it's just the best of your emails. So you're still going to have to type up every single day. I realize this is a little confusing. So you're still going to have to send broadcast emails to your main email list. But when people join, they'll go through a 3 or 6 week period where they're getting an automated broadcast sequence of like your best content or your best offers. And so that's one way you can kind of start to automate this and take the pressure off a little bit when it comes to writing these emails. So thank you so much for watching. Sincerely hope you got some value out of this video. And most importantly, you are all set and ready to go when it comes to your email newsletter and coming up with the ideas. And link in the description to our sales funnel template pack that has our top converting funnel pages, initial email campaign, the rapport sequence to sell whatever your initial product is, and of course, a course framework, linked up in the description. So thank you so much for watching. Hit that like button, subscribe for more marketing guides just like this one. And until the next, keep building the business you love.